Leo, welcome back to the Destiny of Oracles. Before even we begin today's energy, it feels pretty tense because somebody seems to be standing between loyalty and temptation. And I don't think that the situation is as straightforward as it appears to be on the surface. So always remember this is a general reading, so take what resonates, leave the rest. And Leo, your sign values the loyalty, recognition, and wholehearted commitment. So when uncertainty enters a connection, it can feel especially difficult to ignore. So today we are going to uncover the truth behind this third party situation, who truly holds this person's heart, what's happening beneath the surface, and where this connection is ultimately moving. So let's begin. So, the first thing we need to uncover is the current relationship dynamics between you and your person, the third party, and you. So, I want to know if this person is emotionally invested elsewhere, or is there something that is on a much deeper level? Let's see what Spirit wants to reveal. So, we have the Death card in reverse, the King of Swords, and the Fool energy. So, Leo, right away, this doesn't feel like a simple love triangle. I feel like someone has been trying to postpone an ending deep down that they already know that cannot stay the same forever. Because the death card in reverse immediately tells me that someone is refusing to let go. This doesn't necessarily mean that they are refusing to let go of the third party. It means that they're refusing or they're resisting a major transformation. They're clinging to what feels similar as they had before. They're clinging to things that are familiar to them because change would force them to make a decision that they have been avoiding for so long. Then we have the King of Swords, and this person appears outwardly logical, controlled, or even emotionally disciplined. So rather than following their heart, they are trying to analyze everything. They are convincing themselves that if they think long enough, the right answers will somehow become obvious, but the feelings don't always work that way. And now that we arrive at the Fool card, and this is where the dynamics shift. Because the Fool tells me a completely new chapter is trying to begin. So someone knows that they cannot remain stuck forever, whether that means walking away from the third party, taking a chance on Leo, or choosing an entirely different direction. So a fresh beginning is already presenting itself. So I think this person is caught between holding on to what already exists and stepping into an uncertain future. Their heart is asking for a change while their mind keeps delaying it. So, here is what surprises me because I don't think that the third party is the biggest obstacle anymore. The biggest obstacle in this person's life is the inability to make a final decision. They have been hoping that circumstances would decide for them, but that strategy is just the beginning and that is falling apart. And Leo, because your sign values loyalty and wants to feel chosen, not just considered, these cards suggest that this person can keep one foot in the past and one foot in the future. They are doing this, but they cannot keep this for a longer time. They have to be on one side. And because of these energies, I expect that this person will start creating emotional distance from one side of the situation. They may become colder, more detached, or begin changing their behavior as they quietly prepare for some major decision. And they won't announce it immediately, but their actions will begin to shift before their words do. But here's something that doesn't add up. If they're standing at the edge of this new beginning, who is actually holding their heart right now? Let's uncover this person's true feelings and see where their emotions genuinely belong. So we have the Knight of Wands in reverse, then the Knight of Swords, and the Ace of Wands in reverse. Leo, this is a fascinating spread because it doesn't show someone whose heart is divided between two people. It shows someone who is divided within themselves. The Knight of Wands in reverse tells me that this person has been acting far more inconsistently than they actually feel. So, one moment they seem very passionate and drawn towards this connection, and the next moment they just pull away or become emotionally unavailable. That inconsistency isn't coming from a lack of attraction, it's coming from their inner conflict. And also because we have the Knight of Swords that cuts straight through the confusion. So, deep down, this person actually wants clarity. They're constantly replaying the conversations, they are justifying their choices, they are trying to, convince themselves that they are making the right decision. So their mind is becoming restless because avoiding the truth is actually getting harder. Then we reach at the Ace of Wands in reverse, and this reveals the real emotional struggle because their heart wants movement, but something keeps them from acting. The passion hasn't disappeared, it simply hasn't been expressed. So every time they are close to make a decision, they are close to make a move, fear, guilt, or the consequences of their choice pull them back again. So, this person's strongest emotional battle isn't like between choosing two people, it's choosing between what they truly want and what feels safest to maintain. And here is what surprises me. I don't actually see someone deeply fulfilled where they currently are. Instead, I see someone who keeps delaying the action because they know that once they make one honest decision, everything else in their life could change. And Leo, because your sign values loyalty and authenticity, the spirit is highlighting that this person's hesitation isn't making their feelings weaker. It's making them increasingly frustrated within themselves. So I do expect this person to become a more mentally active than physically active at first. They may begin watching you more closely, seeking information about you, asking indirect questions, or looking for an opportunity to communicate with you. And the desire for clarity is growing, but their actions still haven't fully caught up with their emotions. But here is the problem, that if these feelings are this much conflicted, what truth are they still refusing to admit even to themselves? So let's uncover what this person is hiding from Leo. So we have the Seven of Swords in reverse, the King of Wands in reverse, and the Three of Swords in reverse. Okay, Leo, this is where the masks begin to fall away. These cards don't show someone hiding their feelings anymore. They show someone hiding the fact that they are beginning to see the truth about themselves. The Seven of Swords in reverse tells me that there is a secret that they cannot hide forever. Whether they have been avoiding the truth, denying their emotions, or convincing themselves that they could keep everyone satisfied, that strategy is beginning to collapse. They are becoming painfully aware that honesty is no longer an option for Leo. Okay. Then we also have the King of Wands in reverse, and this reveals their shadow side. So outwardly, they may appear very confident or in control, but internally, they are struggling. They are struggling with pride, ego, and the fear of losing control. And Leo, because your sign naturally values loyalty and wants some genuine type of commitment, the spirit is showing me that this person knows their own indecision that has contributed to where the connection stands today. And then we have got the Three of Swords and that too in reverse. So this is the card that changes the story. So the biggest truth that they're hiding is that they want healing far more than they want conflict. They are becoming tired of carrying this guilt, this emotional pain, or the consequences of the choices that have left everyone wounded here. So rather than continuing the cycle, part of them genuinely wants to repair what has been broken. So this person, I feel, can no longer pretend that avoiding the truth is protecting everyone. And deep down, they know that the only way forward is through honesty, even if that honesty changes everything. And here is what I wasn't expecting, Leo. I think that this person has started realizing that the person they are most disappointed in isn't the third party, it's themselves. They are privately acknowledging that many of the complications in this connection or this situation came from delaying the difficult decisions, and that realization is weighing heavily on them. Because these energies are moving from secrecy towards accountability, I expect this person to become less defensive. They may begin dropping hints, admitting small truths, or slowly opening a conversation that they have avoided for a long time. So it won't be a full confession immediately, but the walls are beginning to crack here. But I would like to know that if they are ready to stop hiding the truth, what's the fear that's still preventing them from making the decision that they already know that they need to make? Let's uncover the real obstacles standing between Leo, this person, and the future of this connection. So we have the Hierophant, the Three of Wands, and the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. So, Leo, this is a very different kind of obstacle than I expected. This isn't showing me a lack of love, it's showing me the weight of responsibility, timings, and the fear of irreversible consequences. The Hierophant energy immediately tells me that this situation is tied to commitment, beliefs, promises, or responsibilities that feel bigger than the emotions alone. So, for some of you, this could literally point towards an existing commitment, family expectations, marriage, or some deeply held values. So, whatever the circumstance, this person doesn't feel they are making a decision that affects only themselves. Then we move towards the Three of Wands, and this tells me they're constantly looking ahead. They're asking themselves, if I make the choice today, what happens in like 6 months from now? What happens to everyone that is involved in the situation? So instead of acting in the present, they are becoming trapped in the future consequences. The emotional truth is that this person isn't only afraid of making the wrong choice, they're afraid of making a choice that they cannot undo. Then we arrive at the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. And this exposes the deepest fear of all. They genuinely worry that by making one decision, they'll permanently lose another opportunity. Whether that's losing a Leo, losing stability, losing the third party, or losing the life that they have built, they fear that whichever path they choose will require sacrificing something that they cannot recover. And here's what stands out to me. I don't think that this person is staying stuck because they don't know what they feel. I think they're staying stuck because they already know what their heart wants, but they are terrified of the price that decision will demand. So, Leo, your sign naturally wants wholehearted commitment, not these type of heart half measures. So spirit is showing that this person understands that once they choose, there will be no comfortable middle ground left. And because of these cards, I still see hesitation that continues for a little longer. So they'll spend time weighing the responsibilities, considering the long term consequences, and trying to convince themselves that they have thought everything thoroughly. But this period of reflection won't last long and won't last forever, also. So the pressure to decide is building, and eventually they'll realize that not choosing is also a choice that that could cost them the connection that they are trying so hard not to lose. But here is something that I would still like to know, that if this person could put responsibility, fear, and consequences aside for just, a moment or so, what would they finally want Leo to hear? So let's uncover the words that they have been carrying in their heart, but they have never had the courage to tell you. So we have the Queen of Wands in reverse, the Ten of Swords in reverse, and the Strength card. Leo, this is one of the most emotionally vulnerable spreads that we have seen so far. It feels as though this person has rehearsed these words in their mind countless times, but every time they get close to saying them, fear or pride, just takes over. So the Queen of Wands in reverse tells me the first thing that they would admit is that they have been deeply affected by your absence, even if they have never shown it to you. They have watched you becoming more independent, more guarded, perhaps less available than before, and instead of admitting how much that unsettled them, they have hidden behind their ego and emotional distance. And Leo, because your sign naturally values appreciation and loyalty, this person realizes that they have made you feel unseen, when in reality, they have never stopped noticing you. Then also, we have this Ten of Swords in reverse, and this is where their heart begins to speak. They would want you to know that I don't want this to end the way it has been ending. I don't want our story to be defined by pain, silence, or misunderstandings anymore. They know that healing is possible, but they also know that healing requires honesty, something they have struggled to give. And then we have got the Strength card. And this is a beautiful card because it tells me that the strongest feeling they are carrying isn't anger or isn't resentment, it's admiration. They admire your resilience, they admire the way you have continued moving towards um, the future despite everything that has happened between the two of you. At the same time, they are trying to gather the courage to become emotionally stronger themselves. However, the irony is that the courage they see in you is the very courage they feel that they are missing in themselves. So I feel that if they could speak without fear, they would admit that losing your trust has frightened them far more than they have ever allowed themselves to acknowledge. And here's what surprised me, this person isn't asking themselves, do I have feelings for Leo? They're asking themselves, have I already damaged this connection so much that Leo may never believe in me again? And that fear is much heavier than they have been willing to admit, Leo. And because these energies, I believe that this person will begin looking for a safer way to reconnect with you. Rather than making any sort of dramatic confession, they are more likely to test the emotional waters first. So maybe it can be a small message, an indirect conversation, or an excuse to re enter your life and see whether the door is still open or not. But here's the question that matters now. Will these unspoken feelings finally become the real action? Or will fear cause them to hesitate all over again. So let's uncover this person's next move towards Leo. So we have the Justice card in reverse, the Seven of Wands, and the Nine of Wands in reverse. Leo, the spread tells me something that is definitely shifting, but it also tells me that this person isn't about to take the easy route. So their next move is going to be influenced by an internal battle between guilt, self protection, and the desire to finally defend what they truly want. We have got the Justice card in reverse that catches my attention because this person feels that something about the situation has been unfair. Whether they believe that they have made mistakes, treated you unfairly, or simply allowed the circumstances to get out of control, but there's an imbalance that they're becoming increasingly uncomfortable with. They know something has to be corrected, but they still aren't sure how to do it without creating even more consequences. And then we have the Seven of Wands here. And this tells me that they are becoming far more defensive, not necessarily against you. They are beginning to defend the decision that they are slowly moving towards. So, if there has been outside pressure, like a third party, family options or opinions, or even their own fears pulling them in different directions, they are starting to push back instead of simply going along with everything. And this is the first card in the reading that suggests that they are, just um, preparing their ground. They're preparing to stand to what they what they wish to stand for. Then we reach at the Nine of Wands in reverse, and this is where the energy finally softens. I feel this person is now emotionally exhausted also. They are tired of carrying the same burden, repeating the same cycle, and pretending that they don't care. The walls they have spent so much time and so much energy maintaining are now becoming too heavy to hold up any longer. So I feel that deep down, this person knows that they cannot continue living in this emotional limbo. They are beginning to realize that avoiding a decision hasn't protected anyone, it has only prolonged everyone's pain. And here's what surprised me. I don't think that their next move will begin with a very romantic sort of confession. I think it will begin with an attempt to restore the fairness. They may reach out to clear the air, explain themselves, maybe apologize for the past behavior or reopen the communication before expressing everything that they truly feel. Almost as if they are thinking that I have to repair the foundation before I can ask for another chance from Leo. And for Leo, whose heart values loyalty and sincerity, this approach usually makes sense. They know that they can't expect your trust without, first addressing what broke it. in the first place. So I do believe that this person will make some form of contact, but it won't be dramatic or it won't be impulsive. It will feel mired, cautious, or emotionally significant. So they're truly likely to test your response first, watching carefully to see whether you're receptive before revealing the full depth of what they have been carrying. But here's what I still want to know. If this first step is taken, where could this connection actually lead to? So let's uncover the future energy surrounding you, your person, and the path that the spirit is guiding for both of you. We have the Five of Wands in reverse, and the Chariot, and the Nine of Swords. So, Leo, the future energy is very powerful because it doesn't promise an easy journey, but it does show movement. So, after so much hesitation throughout this reading, this is the first time I see the connection beginning to leave the emotional limbo behind it. The Five of Wands in reverse, it tells me that the energy is moving away from a constant state of conflict, competition, or even emotional tension. So, if there has been a third party situation, a misunderstanding, or an ongoing power struggle, Spirit is showing that this phase cannot continue forever. Someone is becoming tired of this emotional battle. They no longer want to keep proving themselves or fighting against these circumstances. They want peace. Then we have the Chariot, and this is the major turning point. Because the Chariot tells me someone is finally deciding to take control instead of, allowing life to control them. So this isn't an impulsive decision. It's someone saying that I have delayed this long enough. I have to choose a direction now. And Leo, because your sign naturally appreciates the confidence and decision and action. So this energy feels much more aligned with what you have been waiting to see throughout this reading. But then comes the Nine of Swords, and this reminds us that movement doesn't erase the emotional consequences overnight. So even if this person starts moving forward towards you, they are still carrying anxiety. They are carrying guilt and a fear of rejection by you, Leo. They are wondering whether they have waited too long, whether you'll believe in them or not, or whether the damage they have caused can actually be repaired. So, although progress is coming, it won't be emotionally effortless. So, this connection isn't ending because the feelings disappeared. It's changing because avoiding the truth has become more painful than facing it. And here is what actually is surprising me, that I don't think that the biggest fear in future is the third party anymore. The biggest fear is that Leo may no longer be waiting for this person. And that realization creates urgency. Well, throughout this reading, this person has delayed, analyzed, and hidden. But now they are beginning to understand that while they were trying to protect themselves, you may have been learning how to live without them. And that changes everything. So I do see this person becoming much more determined. So expect a stronger attempt to move this connection forward rather than remaining passive. However, they may still appear very nervous. They will overthink their approach or they will even second guess themselves before taking any sort of action towards you. The chariot card also tells me that movement is likely, but the nine of swords, it also says that they'll make that move carrying a lot of emotional fear. But here's the final piece that is missing. Like after everything that we have uncovered today, the silence, the fears, the hidden emotions, the future, what is the one emotional truth that this person can no longer deny even to themselves? So let's uncover the final emotional truth for Leo. So we have the Temperance card in reverse, the Page of Pentacles, and the Hermit. Well, Leo, after everything we have uncovered today, this final spread brings the reading into a full circle. So, throughout this journey, we have seen hesitation, we have seen hidden emotions, fear, and the delayed decisions. But these three cards, they reveal one truth that this person can no longer run from. This temperance card here in reverse, it tells me that this person is no longer emotionally at peace. They have tried to convince themselves that they could keep everything balanced, keep everyone happy, or simply wait until the timings felt perfect. But that balance has completely fallen apart. So internally, they feel restless, emotionally overwhelmed, and increasingly aware that something in their life is out of alignment. Then we have the Page of Pentacles, and this is the first genuine sign of emotional maturity in this entire reading. So, this person finally understands that if they want something to grow, they actually have to invest in it. They cannot keep relying on hopes, silence, or a wishful thinking. Whether it's rebuilding trust, reopening communication, or proving themselves through consistent actions, they're beginning to realize that real love requires effort and not just feelings. And we have this Hermit card at the end, and this is where the deepest emotional truth is revealed. This person spent a long time searching for answers outside themselves, but now they are being forced to look inward. During this period of reflection, they are recognizing uncomfortable truths about their own choices, their fears, and emotional patterns. And Leo, because your sign values honesty and wholehearted commitment, Spirit is showing me that this person is finally confronting the version of themselves that they have been avoiding. So, the one emotional truth that they can no longer deny is that they didn't lose this connection because they stopped caring for you. They began losing it because they kept waiting for the perfect moment instead of creating one. And that realization, it weighs very heavily on them. So I don't think this person is questioning whether they love you anymore. They're questioning whether they'll be given another opportunity to show it. And that's a completely different energy. So, for the first time in this reading, their greatest fear isn't making the wrong decision, it's realizing that they may have waited for too long. I believe this period of reflection won't last forever, because the hermit is preparing them, not imprisoning them. And once they feel they have understood their mistakes, they are far more likely to approach this connection in a slower, steadier, and a more sincere way than they ever have before. And the Page of Pentacles suggests small but meaningful actions rather than grand promises. But before we close this reading, Leo, let's bring the focus back to you where the focus actually belongs. So let's ask Spirit what guidance you need the most for your own path, regardless of what this person ultimately chooses to do. So we have the Devil energy in reverse, and the Knight of Cups, and the Empress. Well, Leo, I love how Spirit chose to end this reading. Because after everything we have uncovered about your person, these cards are no longer talking about them. They are talking about your power. The Devil in reverse tells me that Spirit wants you to release anything that keeps you emotionally trapped. Whether that's waiting for someone to change, replaying the past, questioning your own worth, or feeling responsible for fixing this connection that you have been being invited to break those chains. Leo, your shadow side can sometimes hold onto a connection because your heart is incredibly loyal. But Spirit is reminding you that loyalty should never come at the expense of your own peace. Then we have got this Knight of Cups, and this is a beautiful energy because it shows your heart isn't meant to close. Spirit isn't asking you to become cold or become guarded. Instead, you are being encouraged to stay emotionally open while also expecting emotional maturity in return. This card can also indicate that sincere emotional communication is still possible, but don't settle for words alone, Leo. Look for actions, look for consistency that matches those words. And finally, we have got this Empress. And this is exactly where Spirit wanted this reading to end. Because the Empress is a reminder that you already possess love, value, and abundance that you have been searching for outside of yourself. You don't need to chase for validation. You don't need to compete with anyone. And you certainly don't need to convince someone to recognize your own worth. Leo, your natural strength is your warmth, confidence, and your generous heart. So, Spirit wants you to return to that version of yourself, the one who knows that being chosen would feel natural, not something that you need to earn. So, your healing begins the moment that you stop carrying all the responsibilities that were never yours. Allow this person to do their own inner work. Allow their choices to reveal their intentions. And allow yourself to receive only the kind of love that meets you with honesty, consistency, and respect. So, whether this person returns or not, do not abandon yourself while waiting for someone else to find their courage. The right connection will never require you to shrink your value in order to keep it alive. The Empress reminds you that when you stand fully in your own worth, the relationship meant for you will naturally begin to align with your energy. So, Leo, I hope this reading has brought you a little more clarity about the energy surrounding this connection. Always remember that tarot reflects the current energy, but free will always exist, and every choice has the power to change the path ahead. If this message resonated with you, I would love to hear your story in the comments. Let me know your zodiac sign and which part of today's reading spoke to you the most. Your experiences may even help someone else who finds this reading. Thank you so much for allowing me to read this energy for you today. Until our next reading, take care of yourself, trust your intuition, and may clarity, healing, and genuine love find their way to you.